Hi, this is Unit 8, and we are on topic number 5. And topic number 5 is called Factoring Out a GCF. And a GCF stands for Greatest Common Factor. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to talk about what a greatest common factor is. And a greatest common factor is, we're going to say, is the greatest expression. And by expression, I mean it could be a number, or it could be a variable. So the greatest expression that can be divided into terms. So we are going to look at a couple terms, 2 or 3 or 4, and we are going to try to find the greatest expression that can be divided into both of them. And one thing I wrote up here is that when we are asked to factor, we are going to kind of work backwards in the box method. We're going to put the answer in the inside of the box, and we're going to work backwards to calculate the outside. All right, so we're going to start with an example. In our first example, we are asked to factor this expression, 5y squared plus 10y cubed. So since we're asked to factor it, I'm going to take these two terms and I'm going to put them on the inside of this box that's set up right here. 5y squared goes first, positive 10y cubed goes second. And now we're asked to factor this, which means I want to find two terms that when I multiply it, I end up with 5y squared plus 10y cubed. So this box is set up so that there's one term to the left and there's two terms here. And I want you to think about if we multiplied it, we would do this term times this term, and we're going to end up at 5y squared. And then this term times this term, and we'll end up at 10y cubed. So the key to doing this is that in this first box, we need to have our GCF. And let's revisit our definition. That's the greatest expression. The greatest means the biggest. That's a number or a variable that can be divided into both terms. So first let's look at the numbers. We have a 5 and a 10. So if you think about factors of 5 and factors of 10, the biggest number that can be divided into both 5 and 10 is a 5. So a 5 goes there. Then you look at the letters. So this has a y squared. This has a y cubed. The biggest amount of y's that can go into both of these terms is y squared. And so now I think about what would I would have to place up here so that when I multiply it by 5y squared, I end up with 5y squared. And that one's kind of easy. It's just the number 1, because 1 times 5y squared gives me 5y squared. Now I have to find a number here that when I multiply it to 5y squared, I get 10y cubed. The number is kind of easy. It's a 2, because 2 times 5 gives me 10. Now you need a letter. I need a letter here that when I multiply it by y squared, I get y cubed. Now we know that the exponent 3 just means that there are 3 y's multiplied. I have 2 of them already. I just need one more, so I have a y. Alright, so now these on the outside that I have highlighted in red and blue, this is my answer. It says since we started on the inside of the box, your answer is both of the expressions on the outside. So I'm going to write here that my answer, I'm going to write the word answer, is, and I'm going to put 5y squared first. You can put it in parentheses if you want to, but you don't have to. And then I'm going to put the blue terms in parentheses because they're together. So I have a 1, and now they're always either added or subtracted. Since my 2y is positive, I do 1 plus 2y. So this is my answer. And I want you to think real quick if you were to multiply these. 5y squared times 1 is 5y cubed if we distributed. 5y squared times 2y is 10y cubed. So that's how we know that that works. Okay, on to the next example. So I have 3x squared minus 18. So in this case, I have to draw my own sort of like box method here. So I'm going to do that first. I have 2 terms. So I'm going to make a little box right here with 2 terms in it. I'm going to put 3x squared first and then negative 18 second. So my goal is to find something out here and something here and here. All right, so what goes here has to be my GCF. So look at the numbers first. 3, I'm going to ignore the negative, it's just 18. 3 and 18. The biggest number that divides into both of those is 3. 3 divides into itself, 3 divides into 18. Now, x squared, this term has two x's, x squared. This term doesn't have any, so that means that I cannot put an x out here at all because they don't have any x's in common. So just a 3. Now I have to put a number here. 3 times what gives me x squared? I don't need a coefficient. You can put a 1 if you want, because 3 times 1 is 3, but we know that we don't have to write the 1. All that you need up here is an x squared, because 3 times x squared is 3x squared. And then up here, I know this has to be negative, because it's negative 18. I have to think about the number that multiplies by 3 to get 18, and it's negative 6. So my answer here is when I write my terms on the outside, red and blue. So my answer is the 3 goes first, and then in parentheses, x squared, and the 6 is negative, so minus 6, close parentheses. All right, last example. This is a tricky one. I have 3 different terms. 1, 2, 3. That means the box I set up has to have 3 terms. 1, 2, 3. 4y cubed, negative 2y squared, negative 6y. All right, so I need a term here, and I need a term here, and here, and here. All right, so a GCF goes here, right? So let's look at all these numbers. I have a 4, a 2, and a 6. So far, this has always been our GCF, the first term. But 4 does not divide evenly into 2. So I'm going to choose my smallest number, 2. And I'm just going to first see, does 2 divide evenly into 4 and into 6? And it does, so I'm going to choose 2 as my GCF. Now let's count the y's. I have 3 y's, 2 y's, and only 1 y. How many y's do these all have in common? And the answer is that they only have 1 y in common, right? They all have at least 1. This one has 2, this one has 3. So I'm going to put 1 y out here. That's my GCF. Now I have to make 2y into 4y cubed by multiplying. So I need a 2, because 2 times 2 is 4. And I need a y squared. And that's because y times y squared is y cubed. All right, here, I need this 2 to multiply something to get negative 2, and that would be negative 1. And I also need this y to become y squared. So I need a y. All right, and then lastly, my term from 2y, I have to multiply by something to get negative 6, so I know I need negative 3, because 2 times negative 3 is 6. And my final answer has a y, and I already have a y here, so I don't need any y's up here, or else I would have too many y's. All right, so all set here, we're ready to write our final answer. My final answer is the first term is 2y, parentheses, and then I have 2y squared minus 1y minus 3. And let's just double check this to make sure. 2y times 2y squared is 4y cubed, check. 2y times negative 1 is negative 2y squared, check. 2y times negative 3 is negative 6y. All right, so this is our final answer. All right, you guys should be moving on to practice in your homework, and I think that we are on homework number 6 at this point, either 5 or 6. All right, good luck.